Hey everyone, what's up? This is JB Bremerton here with you, reviewing Singularity, a first-person shooter survival horror game. I was playing this on PC, but it is also on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. It takes place on an island in the northern Pacific, which is owned by the Soviet Union in 1950. It is known as Katorga 12, and Katorga is a chain of penile colonies that were in Russia at the time. But these experiments were going on Katorga 12 involving an E99. In 1950, something happened known as the Singularity, and it caused the very existence of the island to be covered up by the Russian government. But you play as Nate Rinko, a Black Ops soldier, and you're sent to investigate all these things happening here. And you crash land there, you regain consciousness, and find out all these weird things are going on. Most weird of all time switches between 1955 and 2010. So we find these time rifts, and just all these weird things happen. There's these crazy creatures there. You got these soldiers trying to take over the E99 and all that, trying to do what they were trying to do before on a much more massive scale, and pretty much start World War III. When I first saw the trailer for the game, I was just like, well, hey, that looks pretty interesting. And mostly what caught my interest was that it looks so much like Bioshock. I mean, Bioshock 1 and 2. Mostly 2, I guess, but it does take a lot of inspiration from that, and at times it just doesn't seem original. Some of the weapons are very cool. Got seeker rounds that you can actually control after you shoot them to hit whatever you want it to. Then there's time manipulation sniper guns, and it's just absolutely amazing, some of the weapons. But this game is just very forgettable overall. It's definitely worth playing if you really like this sort of thing. I wouldn't recommend this if you're just looking for the next cutting edge thing. I'm not going to try to say too much bad about it, because they do try hard here. It gets pretty intense sometimes, and throughout the first part of the game it's like hardly, well, after the first scene, it's hardly any ammo that you can use, and you just really got to use your head. So that is commendable. They've figured out a way to do a first-person shooter where you have very, very limited ammo. And the enemies, the sort of hybrid half-breeds, whatever you want to call them, they're just hard to beat. At the end of this video, you will see the first major boss fight in the game, and it's outrageously crazy. Now, this is made by Raven Software and published by Activision. Now, these were two of the same companies that did Wolfenstein, and it kind of was interesting because the first boss that I just mentioned showed up much like one of the bosses in Wolfenstein did. I don't know if that had any coincidence, if that was a coincidence or if it was planned. But either way, it was kind of interesting, so that's why I mentioned it. That's one of the most annoying things about bosses in games. They show up at one point, but you can't kill them till another point. So I really didn't like that. But the design of this is excellent. There are time manipulation options you can do for certain objects. You can age them or make them younger. As you can see, I have to make staircases appear and reappear. You have to shrink or expand certain objects so you can get through doors. And some of it just takes a lot of looking around. You just can't figure it out right away. So that really keeps your attention going. So there's really very little that's original about this. I mean, the whole zombies singularity kind of idea. Something horrible's happened. Now there's all these crazy half-breeds going around. That's I mean, that's whole concept's been done to death. But like I said, I don't really want to say too much bad about this game because there will be people that like it, and currently the ratings on this are very high. So I do want to mention this is a mature game. It is kind of violent at times. As you can see, there's lots of blood everywhere, and lots of explosions and violence, and just the thematic elements just really make this a game for adults. So I wouldn't recommend this for kids at all. The soundtrack is sort of lacking. I mean, it's got it there, but it's not really all that interesting. It's just there, you might say. And then the sound effects and everything, those sound great, so I do commend them for that. But overall, this game isn't all that bad. It's not the best game I would have ever played. But certainly, if you're into survival horror, first-person shooters, sci-fi stuff, this is definitely a game you'll want to play. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, and I hope you've enjoyed this review. I will see you next time.